Hey everybody, it's Brett from Moonstream Crypto. Just going to give you a quick wave here from the trade station behind me, and I'm going to dive over into some charts. Today we're going to look at Bitcoin and the three potential paths that I see it taking from here. Could go either way. I'm waiting specifically to see if this sells off end of day. This was a short squeeze, and we know that because that was out earlier today, and we'll just take a look at that article. I'm going to unpack that and kind of why that happened. We're going to look at global liquidity and see where we're at in this 4-year cycle there. I'm going to talk about global M2 and to see, are we finally starting to see global M2 and Bitcoin following price, which we have been waiting for. I'm going to look at the monthly chart and some signals here that we used in the 2021 cycle to call the top. Also revisit our USDT dominance chart, which is Tether. It's inversely related to the market. Some interesting clues there. And also revisit the path to 150K to 200K. Just saw a news article that Standard Charter is also forecasting 200K by the end of the year. This has been my target for the last 2 years, and it's nice to see that finally playing out. And so let's just dive into Bitcoin here. I'm going to go to the daily chart. I did say earlier that not to buy into this pump because, believe it or not, there is live heavy sell pressure right up here at around 110K. And so it rejected right at that level. And specifically, if we pull back down to around 108K, that would bring the daily candle on the daily chart, stay with me here, the green candle back below the upper trend line resistance in this downtrending parallel channel. That's a mouthful, but we have seen these end of day sell-offs. It's about 6 p.m. Eastern, and we've seen these sell-offs end of day. If we do sell back down below that, I think we'll see a continued sell-off now that the short squeeze is over, down to lower areas, maybe down to around here at the 50-day exponential moving average. But really, I'm sort of wondering and expecting this to come down. I'd love to see it come down to the 100K region and to get another chance, another bite at the apple to buy Bitcoin down lower. If we do push up and we close above 108K here today, close meaning the 8 p.m. Eastern daily candle close, that would confirm a breakout up here, and I would be looking for a few more days, maybe push up to 110 and roll over, retest that upper former resistance as support, and then go. So we're going to look at some of these scenarios. Let's just kind of come back. I want to talk about this and the short squeeze that happened today as reported by Cointelegraph and a number of different news articles. I won't dive into this. I do remember waking up this morning and seeing Bitcoin up 2,700 and thinking it's a short squeeze because all the shorts were likely layered on there thinking we'd roll over. Our signals were also showing that. Actually, let me go over to that and show you our early reversal indicator, one of the flagships over here at Moonstream Crypto. You can get these signals at cryptomastery.org. These are the foundation of what we do, including these buy blocks, which we visualize here. These are the buyers. Limit buy orders on the books very often, if not always, comes down to test that midpoint and then goes running up higher. We had 3 arrows here, bearish, engulfing candle, bearish ERI. So we saw that same pattern. That's why I was projecting this dip and I was getting out of Bitcoin, waiting to dollar cost average down in this region. So I think a lot of people were short in that range. And then we had this short squeeze. So let's unpack this a little bit and the scenarios. Now, I do have the targets on this chart of 150K, and I'm going to talk about that in not one, but 2 different bull flag breakouts. The measured moves both point toward 150K up here, as you can see. So I'm going to recreate those for you guys. So really, again, the dilemma here is, what do we do here? I'm not buying yet. If we close up here and this big green candle can hold above 109K, then I think the breakout is real. And if not, if it sells off and comes back down below this, I think we'll probably drift down into these lower areas, especially going into the July 7th likely cycle low. Very important. Cycle trader that we work with, Juan Villaverde, excellent cycle analyst, and he's forecasting July 7th as the next cycle low. Now, it could be after a push up and retest. It could be this kind of rollover and retest and bounce here or down in this region. But I am going to be pretty cautious here and keeping some powder dry to buy into that range. Correctly called the November 5th low. Happened to coincide with the U.S. elections, but it was on our radar for quite a while. And these cycles, if you're not familiar, these market cycles run in a very predictable pattern, and so it's worth noting that that's highly likely. Doesn't mean it has to happen. Again, this big pump though, again, was a short squeeze. So let me just go back and show you why that is in this article. Not going to go into the weeds, but we're looking at unemployment rate also coming in tomorrow on July 3rd. That could impact the market and have it roll over. But this is what I wanted to show you. This is a liquidation heat map, and I've zoomed in for you. What happens is when there's tons of shorts in this range and their liquidation price is up here, it becomes a target. The market makers, the whales, and people who want to get liquidity in this market, they will find ways to push markets prices up to liquidate those traders. I think we'll probably see maybe up to $1 billion in liquidations today. Maybe not that much, easily $500 million, but that's what helped push those prices higher. The shorts getting squeezed and having to kind of buy back at higher prices. He also talks about it here, as I was saying, big liquidity grab, and now the shorts are trapped. That's what pushed the prices up higher there today. And but Bitcoin trading at a very narrow range. It could have gone either way. Maybe they'll pull it back down again to liquidate some longs. I bet you there was a lot of people that went leverage long today on that chart here. And so the pain trade here is for them to whipsaw this back. Now that they've liquidated and trapped the shorts, bring it back down. Right here, people are going long. I don't do that. I want to see the end of day close, because see what happens. This tends to sell off end of day in these bullish fakeouts. So we'll have to see. I'll update our members. By the way, if you like these videos and these analyses, then we do these every Wednesday live in our M3 Active Trader group. You can learn more about that at moonstream.io/M3. We're being called top 3% analyst in the world by our customers. And another comment the other day, phenomenal TA. We have tools that no one else has, and we've been nailing these markets. So we have to adapt to what the market gives us. Can't say for sure which way this is going to go from here. However, if we do drop down, big heavy buyers in these zones, we've visualized the bids and asks from the exchanges, so we know this is where the buyers are. Highly confident that if price ever goes down in these ranges, it'll bounce. It's how I doubled my Solana, nearly doubled my Solana last year, buying in these green buy zones and then selling into resistance with our modified Bollinger Bands for crypto. Again, something nobody else has. We changed it. Regular Bollinger Bands don't work for crypto. Our modification, we changed the standard deviation, it works beautifully. And also when these boxes are red, that's where the sellers are. So with this scenario, I'm either looking for this to turn into a bull flag breakout. We can see this tiny bull flag inside of a bigger bull flag here that we previously noted. The measured move here from this bull flag right in this area there, let's see down to the swing low here. If it were to break out here, then the measured move on that is 150K. All we have to do is copy and paste that same measured move. Now, I'll do it from the bottom of the bull flag. Some people do it from the top. I like to be conservative because I've seen it play out both ways, and I just re-angled that a little bit, but you can see how right up to 150K is the target. What's really interesting, though, is that it's the same target. Let me show you on the macro bull flag going back here to September of 2024. And I'll turn off our early reversal indicator for a minute just so the chart's clean. This line there, low to high, creating that swing high. Now, the bull flag is a little bit janky here because it was first like this and this, then like this. But I look for confluence whenever I can. And it's amazing that if we draw that right back down here, this is a log chart, it puts us right in that 150K region from the bounce point. So, you know, and we're going to talk about the other factors, the 10 factors that'll get us there, the Fibonacci study, lots of confluence at 150K. If we can, it's a big if, we will get there, but I'm waiting for a break and close above 112,000 and to confirm that. So a break and close, retest and go, or even just sometimes Bitcoin won't pull back. It'll just keep on going. But keep in mind that 150K number. All right, looking at some of our signals, I was being cautious and saying that we would pull back yesterday because we had our early reversal indicator flashing bearish, this red arrow there, and also a bearish engulfing candle. That was 2 days ago. When these align and we get a red trend strength indicator, that's a powerful momentum signal. Then I jumped the gun a little bit. The confirmation here is it breaking and closing below 80. That's when it's confirmed. We got a little bit of a bounce, but I think we still probably are going to see some retracement and to pull back. It could go either way. We'll update you guys. Also waiting for the other signals to be a little bit more clear, and also a bit overbought on the monthly or the weekly time frame. We are going to look at the monthly time frame in a moment. Another thing I'll point out here on those indicators, guys, if you're using RSI, stochastics, MACD, you're using what everyone else is using, you don't have an edge. These are the best indicators I've ever used. I found the programmer. I saw these. I'm like, I want to work with you. So he's my partner now. He builds complicated systems and auto traders on the S&P also. But the accidental discovery that I made and he coded was this early reversal indicator, and it's been nailing these bottoms, and we have added money flow. The light green is money flow. This other green box is where people have, it's the concentration of limit buy orders. So it's no surprise that price hit this zone and took off like a rocket, and here as well. These are institutional buyers, big buyers. Now, what we also see is that if price comes down, and often it will come down and retest the midpoint of the fair value gap candle, but also where that money flow is, come back and retest the midpoint. I find that invariably the big money buyers here will support their purchase by keeping it at that midpoint. So a lot of confluence right in there using our indicators. Again, you can learn more at cryptomastery.org. I'll just type this in because you guys you definitely want to have these to have an edge. You're using other things, I'm sure, but these complement nicely, and we have a free trade success checklist. It's an interactive PDF, so it becomes pattern recognition. We've gamified it. If you see this arrow on there, you check off a box and it gives you a trade success score. If you get to a score of 2 or more, it's time to get in the trade. If you get into like 3 or 4 or 5, as more of these signals align, that's when you're adding to the trade. Okay, so with that in mind, Bitcoin, that's the breakdown on the Bitcoin chart. Let's go ahead and go over to this next chart here, where the this is my path to 150K. Again, just a quick review if you're new here. If you like this, by the way, please do hit the like button down below. You don't have to smash anything. Just click on that one time for us. It helps us get out to more people, and subscribe with the bell. That way you're notified of more of our videos. So here is the Fibonacci study that I did and marked the exact top of the last cycle, and exactly at the 3.618. So fast forward it over here. By the way, if you're saying, wasn't this the top? No, I think this was the top. This was a Wyckoff distribution pattern, and this was the upthrust after distribution, essentially a bull fake out or a bull trap. And then we rallied down to the 16.5 lows, which I predicted back almost to the dollar back here in May. But anyway, the same study, using a Fibonacci from the cycle high here, the most recent high, to the swing low and extending out. The same study puts us right at 200K. I put it on here 2 years ago. So the 1.618 took us to 100K. That was that first target. I did say we'd have a lot of trouble there, and we did. So the next move up to 150K, I think we could easily probably do a bit of a throw over, get up to around 160K potentially, and then get that bull rally pullback. Typically in the past, we've seen up to 50% retracements. I don't think we'll get that in this bull run. Maybe a 20% pullback, maybe 25%, and then it's time to get back into the market when it pulls back to that upward trend line, that fourth and final angle. And if you're not familiar, typically in bull runs we have 4 angles, and the fourth one is the parabolic one. Let's zoom out a little bit. This trend line going back here to June, July of 2017, retested back here in Jan 19. The COVID crash there where it held, and the 16.5 lows back in December, January of 2022, right in that range. So then we put in a new higher sloping trend line there into the October 23. That breakout we nailed the AI coins right here using the early reversal indicator and our other signals. Had a nice run with that. So that was the angle number 3. Angle number 2 here, I should label those. Angle number 3 was this one here where we kind of pushed up, and now we're into this fourth and final angle, most likely, that can take us to 200K, and so we want to watch that. These blue lines, by the way, are the exact zigzag from the last cycle. We're in log format, so I've condensed it a bit, but just looking at that, Let's see what happened there. Go back. I'm just going to move it back. Something's wrong with my undo button. But we can see we were a little concerned this was not going to play out. And now it's starting to play ball and hold that line. So that's what I'm watching for specifically. And until proven different, I think I had it drawn like this, where we'll push up to 200K and then break. And I think, look, 200K I think is the top. Maybe we go higher. I will be getting largely out of the market at 200K if we get there. And if we get a secondary bounce, which usually we'll do, I'll play that. But just remember how much trouble we had at 100K. Those big round numbers, very hard to break through. And so if we do get that secondary pump to 200K, I'll be out. Maybe play with some house's money on a pullback. If we get one, we'll watch for our signals. Right now, these are the two targets in front of us. Again, the 3.618 that correctly called the last top is my roadmap. The 10 factors that can get us there, we've talked about this before, so I won't really go through these in detail. But this was originally 7 factors back in 2023. We started this. I started following them. BlackRock, Fidelity, ETFs, that's all happened. All these green check marks are happening or have happened. Corporate FOMO, U.S. country adoption as a reserve currency. We're seeing that happening. Post-halving reduced miner selling. That's locked into the halving formula. Less available supply. It's going to turn into a demand surge at some point. Political support, clearly we have that in favor of Bitcoin and crypto. And the other thing is the global fiat debt bubble is also playing out. So I watched a very interesting video today from Chamath, the former investor in Facebook, smart investor, talking about the correlations between Bitcoin and gold. Now, he's calling for a potential $1 million Bitcoin, and in the short term, I think that's premature and unlikely. And so we want to be aware of the hype cycle. Saw it in the last cycle when everybody started coming out and raising their estimates. Cathie Wood, $1 million Bitcoin, and the news was just all bullish. I'm nervous and contrarian when we see that. I call it the hype cycle. So the reason is when they start throwing out these bigger numbers, they're trying to get more retail traders and bigger buyers in so they have exit liquidity to sell to. Okay, so we'll be careful around that range. But also the commercial real estate crash, it's around the corner. There's tons of vacant commercial office space. At some point, it's going to be a problem, and we'll see what happens, but we might see a flight to quality into Bitcoin. That's my theory there. So let's keep going. On the USDT chart, this is a chart of tether dominance. Runs inversely to crypto and the Bitcoin markets. I'll just unhide this. I think it's down here. Let's see. I might have to re-add that back on, and let's do that. So we'll add in the total market cap, and then we'll look at some specific coins in a minute. But let me just add in total market cap so you can see how this looks. That's the purple line. I'll move this over so that we can see it, and there we go. So we see an inverse relationship. There's my yellow line and the midpoint, right? So when prices come down on Tether to this lower trend line, we've seen it bounce off of this all the way back since 2018. That's usually at a local market high, and I have to play with it a little bit to get it to show up correctly. And there it is. So at the peak of the market, November of 2021, Tether dominance down here. What does that mean? Money flowing out of crypto or into crypto and total market out of stable coins. So we saw this in that July, that summer breakdown over here. And when Tether dominance came down, we saw that rally, and then into May, and then money flooded out of crypto, right? Came out of Bitcoin and the total crypto market cap, that purple pink line, and we saw money flowing into stable coins like Tether. So it peaked around that range and then rallied again. Money out of Tether came down to that trend line and then marked the market top. So we're watching that pretty carefully. Let me just hide that one because it doesn't play well here when we are in this mode. But you can see that here, the yellow line again, that was kind of that midline, and so the median line that price would come back down to in these, and I'll just leave it on there. So the blue line here is from the last cycle there. If we overlay that, and so we're seeing the same kind of pattern here. Doesn't mean it has to work out exactly. If the money flows out of Tether back down to that line, that would be Bitcoin breaking out and maybe hitting 150K, and then we might see some of a bounce here. But we do have this trend line on Tether, so if this bounces from here, we will see the corresponding drop in Bitcoin down to those green ranges, maybe down to that 50-day moving average before resuming. So you don't need to know all that, just know that I'm watching it. But when Tether dominance gets up in this range, it's crypto correction zone up here, crypto crash zone, and then of course the next bear market. And I have that sort of out into 2026. This isn't meant to be exactly on a timeline, but into Jan 26. Maybe the cycle does extend a little bit longer out. I don't know. We'll have to see and take it one day at a time as it comes. Okay, we're making good time here. Here's the monthly chart of Bitcoin. Having a little trouble here at that high, consolidating and getting ready to potentially break higher. Some interesting things here in the RSI. I know I said don't use them, but this is on the monthly chart. It's useful rather to see these key levels. Like 72 is an important level on the RSI. Acts as both a support level and then sometimes resistance. So we're coming up to that 72 number on the RSI for Bitcoin monthly. Will we break through it and turn it into support, or are we going to reject here and see a little drawdown? It's too early to tell. I've had this red line on here all the way back since 2023. So fortunately, we did see that push up here that we were waiting for in the meantime. All right, money flow. This is a bit of a lagging indicator. Came down to this range down below again, in the February, March of 2023. Coming down a bit. It's delayed, so we'll have to see how that looks. But we would need to see something like this, ideally, where we see money flow back into these markets. Because I think a lot of people are waiting to see, are we going to get a rate cut? What's going to happen next, and hopefully we'll get a surprise rate cut. That's a big wild card in July. More and more people are talking about that, but Powell signaling probably won't be till September. We'll have to see how that plays out. This is a stochastics RSI. Nice, it's pushing up higher on a monthly time frame. I'm just glad that we didn't come down into these bottom ranges. This is typically when we're in the actual bear market, so bouncing higher, delaying the bear, so that's good, and we'll have to kind of monitor that. I have some alerts that'll be watching that for us. So the MACD, I don't usually use MACD too much, except on the monthly. That's one of the ways that I called the 2021 top along with the Pi cycle top and our signals. But when we see that monthly MACD cross over, that was a clear indication it's over. And so unfortunately in this cycle, continuing to shoot up higher and looking good. All right, so what else do we want to talk about? Kind of did touch on the global M2 already. It's finally starting to, this is on 84-day lag. The M2, Bitcoin lags M2 by about 8 to 12 weeks, usually 10 to 12 weeks. This is the 12-week or 84-day offset. So I was getting a little concerned there with this rollover, but finally, this could be it where that money supply is coming into the market to propel us up, and that would put us up around 117,000, and I've got another article suggesting that too. So around that 120K, 117 pullback, and then go all the way up here and continuing on to 150K, I think, by end of August, maybe end of August, early September. So we'll have to see. Just wrapping things up here, this is a study I've been following and did 6-8 months ago. And you don't need to know all of this. The different colors are the different global central banks. So we have the European Central Bank in there. We have People's Bank of China, Bank of Japan. This is the European Central Bank. And then up top is the Fed. What we're seeing, though, clearly since the beginning of the year, we've been seeing liquidity coming into the markets, and so that's been good, and we want to see that continue. I did extend this arrow out. This 1400-day cycle, though, points towards sort of the end into the bear market, so that projects to, around August of 26. So we really need to get moving here, and I'm going to move that over a bit because this has to get moving so we can get up to the new highs and then have the time for that roll over. At any rate, looking good here overall. I think that's about all I wanted to talk about, other than we can look at some altcoins. So why don't we jump back over into that and see if anything looks good. I want to talk about Solana real quick, but ETH does not look very good. Big sell block. Again, our sell block indicators are so good. It visualizes where the sellers are big concentration here, and we saw our early reversal indicator. By the way, that's catching institutional programmatic buying and selling. The arrows, don't let the simplicity fool you. That's how we've visualized it. The actual indicator is not fun to look at. It's going to hurt your eyes. I'll just show it to you real quick. And since nobody wants to look at this, but this is a pattern that I recognized in the charts in an old oscillator. We've modified it. Essentially, it's catching when the oscillator comes off of 0 or below 3 back above 20 in 3 time periods. Okay, and so there's also a Keltner channel and some other quant work in here, but it's been highly effective in catching these swings that actually continue to move on, these reversals, hence the name early reversal indicator. We have a free checklist, by the way, a free trade success checklist you can get over at moonstream.io/checklist. And it's gamified so that you can use it with various patterns, candle patterns, and our signals, of course. So we look for the arrow, we look for confirmation with this, the green arrow, and ideally, these circles are bullish divergence. So when we see confluence on these, those are when the best moves happen. ETH has a cup and handle pattern, but all of the sellers in here are going to likely keep it down. And so one other way to see that is we look at total market cap. Is everything including Bitcoin. This showing also resistance here. This is the other reason I'm bearish. We have our early reversal indicator showing a rollover here, and there. When the short squeeze, if it eases off by end of day, then likely we're going to kind of chop around in here, maybe come down in this range, retest that $3 trillion market cycle high from last cycle. If you remember that, let me just zoom out a little bit and go to a weekly. The high of the last cycle had nothing to do with Bitcoin's price necessarily. It was to the dollar almost, 3 trillion, and we came back and blew through it last time, but we came back and retested it here a bit last month. But you know, that's a key level that we want to keep in mind. Anyway, let's see. Going back to the last week rather. So we want to see 3 trillion hold, but my point being that if we go to total 2, big red sell pressure, that's Ethereum holding it down in this downtrending channel, heavy resistance, trendline resistance. I think, you know, ETH is at a symmetrical wedge. It's either going to break up or down. I don't really know, but this is going to be a lot of sell pressure to get through. If it breaks above there, that'll be great. And I know I'm looking at total 2, but that's really led by ETH. If we go to total 3, it's a little less sell pressure, so that empirically tells me a lot of that in total 2 is ETH. But also the altcoins have to get through this area. Not looking so good. It'll probably be a little later when we see alts finally break through these sell blocks in aggregate. So with that in mind, let's jump down to Solana, see how that looks. There's a bit of these that are bouncing hard. I wouldn't chase these. They're just pushing up to their 21-day exponential moving averages. We'll have to see if there's follow through here today and this week. ICP, Filecoin holding some strong support down there. Some of these are active coin picks in our M3 active trader. I do give trade picks on a daily basis and updates in a private signal chat. I don't like Discord. It's too much. It's overwhelming. But if you want access to me and the daily updates, videos, charts, and coin picks, you can go to moonstream.io/M3. It's my active trader group. Some really smart traders in there, and you can learn a lot from those guys as well. By the way, I have a couple spots open for working one-on-one with me. If you want to check that out, go over to moonstreamcoaching.com and watch a short video. You can book a time and a call with me. We can go over your strategy. It's a very low stress, no pressure, not high pressure sell or anything, but I can tell you how we can work one-on-one together. I've got about a dozen clients right now, and some are high net worth, some are just starting out, so I can work with anybody there. I won't have time to do that as the markets heat up later in the summer, so just making note of that. Some of these I'm about to put buy recommendations on after today's live class that we did, and so members are able to watch past classes also. Solana, I love Solana, but I've been selling out of it the last few days. There was a head and shoulders pattern here that was starting to play out on that daily time frame, and I know it's a little messy here. Price discovery above 300. These are the sell blocks where we know sellers are. I sold at 285 right in here when Solana pushed up. I saw the sell block. Guys, you need to have those. Here's that head and shoulders, left shoulder, head, right shoulder. We broke below. The measured move on that from the head to the neckline puts us right back down in this buy zone. I don't want to see Solana go down. We might hold at 130, so I'm going to put buy limit orders in at 130. By the way, none of this is financial advice, for educational purposes only. I don't really need to say that if it's one-to-many, and none of it is one-to-one advice. So anyway, with that, either Solana is going to break out, push up to this resistance level, pull back and go. I would buy it on a pullback and in this range. But if it does come down, I'll buy Sol at 130, and I'd love to buy a ton of it down at 100. If we come back down here again, that was, look at all the buyers. This is how I doubled my IRA last year, by buying the buy blocks in this 125 region. It was all through here, you guys. I would buy here and sell up here, and buy here, sell up here, buy here. So I turned 40 Sol into 90, sorry, 50 Sol into 90. And that was pretty good swing trading. The whole point of swing trading is to compound your bags by buying more on the dips, selling up high, get more money, and buy more. You're building that position, and that's what we're really good at here at Moonstream Crypto. All right, you guys, that's about all. I mean, if you want to find out more of the coin picks I'm going to put out today, some of these are looking good. A lot of them aren't. You know, they're not ready. If you look on this, they've just pushed up to resistance here. A lot of these that we were into last year, Helium and INJ, they're just looking bad. They're under resistance. It's not time for them. I do have a handful on my piece of paper here that we're going to be putting buy limit orders on. I can't show it to you. Those are for members, but you can join. Easily pays for itself. It's $249 a month, and you get access to me every day, one live class per week on Wednesdays, and you can always ping me in the group, and I'll answer your questions. So with that, everyone, thanks very much. Have a great 4th of July if I don't talk to you, and we'll know soon enough, is Bitcoin going to go higher and break out to new all-time highs, or do we see sort of an end-of-day sell-off and dip down for an opportunity to buy lower? We'll see. I'll keep you posted. Thanks, guys.